Hello, everybody. Welcome to Seek the Heart Book Club. We are in week 4 already. Oh my gosh, it's hard to believe week 4. So today we actually have one of our co-authors as well, Miss Francine, and she is bringing to the table all the latest and greatest about sparkle feathers. Aren't you guys excited? I love her little story. It's so powerful. Let me introduce Francine to you guys. Her chapter in our book, Seek the Heart, is Eliminate, Boom, and Show the True You. And she really knows this personally and authentically because after suffering from a debilitating physical issues that caused by life stress, Francine found herself 100 pounds overweight. And I hesitate that I think most of us can understand we all gain weight as we age. But in the reality, when you're in that stress mode, you gain even more and relying on pharmaceuticals, facing the prospect of medical retirement. She felt stuck, unsure where to begin making changes, drawing on her studies and experience as an aircraft electrician in the military. Hats off. Thank you for your service, which is pretty amazing that you had that career field as well as an aircraft electrician, a manufacturing engineer, and her advanced education in business management. Francine really reimagined the tools and techniques she's learned to help ease her own personal transformations. And so, guess what? In the inspiration and role model that she is, she began to help others. She realized many of the blocks preventing people from realizing their dreams stemmed from negative self beliefs formed in childhood. And that is where most of all of ours start in that childhood era. Well, that realization led her down a new path as a children's book author with Sparkle Feathers and Princess Francie, the Magic Library. And in this story, Sparkle Feathers helps Princess Francie overcome her fear of being different. Anyone else felt different in their life, right? Sparkle Feathers' mission is to grow strong and confident children today so that we won't have to fix broken adults later. What a powerful thought. We would not have to spend our adulthood fixing our childhood. Wow. She's now living in Florida, a little sunshine state. Francine is dedicated to inspiring children and families through storytelling and helping them embrace personal growth and self discovery. Her goal is to empower children to overcome limiting beliefs and grow into their best selves. Francine, what a statement. Oh my gosh, the things that you have been through, how much you've experienced. Thank you so much for coming today and sharing all of this knowledge with us.
It is my absolute pleasure. I just want to tell everybody that being a part of this team, of the Seek Your Heart team, has just been an amazing experience for me. I have been in other anthologies and I have written solo books to include my children's series. But in this group, I have met some heart-centered souls who are just trying to make this world a better place. And they have inspired me to start my own anthology with my team. And we are doing a book called Believe That You Can, dot, dot, dot. People who believed they could and did. And the reason why we're calling it this is because these limiting beliefs that we get in childhood make us believe that we can't do it. Who, me? I can't be an author. That's what I said when somebody first suggested it to me. And then they said, well, just write some stuff down and see how it goes. And they read it and said, you know what? You should have somebody look at this, an editor. And it's really better than you think. Well, that book wasn't very successful, but it planted in my brain the idea that I can be an author. And guess what? I made that book better. And that is the whole purpose of the Believe You Can program, is to get those words on paper, get you that feeling inside your brain that you did it and you could do it again, because we're all about eliminating those negative beliefs that we collect throughout our lives.
And that list becomes so long as we age. And then when you realize the wisdom that you don't have to continue carrying those, I love your boom part because I think it's boom, it's an epiphany as well, right? But we know that boom represents something specific in your story. So why don't you share with us, what does that mean in your story?
Boom stands for bad opinions about myself. And these bad opinions start in childhood. Mine, the one that really anchored all of my bad habits in life were my aunts telling me, "You'd be such a pretty girl if you just lost some weight." Well, I spent my life thinking that if I could just lose 20 pounds, I'd be happy. And as a result, after losing 100 pounds, I still wasn't happy because that was a negative belief that was planted in me as a child. And then when I eliminated that belief that my weight was connected to my happiness, that's when I was able to really find what true happiness is. Crystal, have you ever had that epiphany saying, I've been thinking this all my life and I was wrong?
Absolutely. I call it brainwashing at times, depending on where it comes from. And, you are told oftentimes that you have to do or be, or even be somebody else's savior because, you're second in line to a certain thing. And you just kind of look back and you're like, that is not truth. And sometimes we have to be an adult to be able to recognize the lies we've been told along the way. And just as a person who also had been told that, like I got offered money to lose weight in my family. I feel you. And it is a hard place to be. And it's devastating because you're like, why can't you just love me for who I am and where I am and what I look like? And it's not like those of us who have had weight issues in our lives don't struggle with that every single day. We know we want to be healthier, but there's something there that's keeping us from that, whatever that may look like. And I remember even when I lost my weight, my spouse at the time said, well, you didn't have to have surgery. You could have just gone to the gym. And I just go, dude, you've been married to me for 15 years at this point. Did you catch the fact every time I go to the gym, I hurt myself like severely? Like, it's the obliviousness that people have to other people's pain and their journey and their walk. And I just feel for you. I'm so sorry that your aunt said that to you. I truly feel that to my core for you.
Hey, you know what? I am happy they did because that's what made me who I am. Every experience in my life contributed to who I am today. And you said that your husband told you you could just go to the gym. Well, guess what? I was in Iraq for a year, walking everywhere I had to go. I was an aircraft electrician, climbing all over aircraft, working 12 hours a day, every single day, and eating in the chow hall, which wasn't really the healthiest food available. Even with going to the gym, walking every day, having a very, very physical job, I still gained weight. And it took me years to figure out the cause. It was stress. All that cortisol of being in a war zone, of meeting deadlines, of living in the atmosphere of, well, Iraq. Imagine that if you would. I couldn't get my body out of stress mode. And when you are living in stress, your body maintains these calories because your body, your brain is designed to help you survive. So when you are in stress, your body's saying, I don't know when my next meal is. I need to save it all. And you don't burn the calories properly, your metabolism doesn't work properly, and you're going to maintain that fat so you could survive if you don't find your next meal. That is part of eliminating boom. You have to find ways to manage your stress.
And what would you say your top three strategies are for doing that?
Meditation, journaling, and having fun.
I love those. I just happened to see a reel that talks about all the different sections of your brain that those self-care items help. And it was fascinating because you really begin to understand there is true science to meditating, to journaling, to offering yourself self-care. And that fun can look like so many different things. For me, fun is shell collecting on a beach. All right. And so, what's your version of fun?
This started back when I lost that weight and realized I still wasn't happy. I started going on a deep dive, and that's when I discovered meditation. And through this journey of learning about that cortisol and the stress and the de-stressing, I heard this profound suggestion: go have fun like a dog. So that is exactly what I did. Instead of going home and pouring a glass of wine and sitting on the couch, I went out with my husband and my dogs, and we just had fun in the yard. Because think about it. What does a dog do? They sniff here, they sniff there, they chase that squirrel, they come to you and they just want that undivided attention and the un the unfiltered joy. And that's what have fun like a dog is. Just go out and do what feels good. And I'm going to let someone new in the room right now. Crystal, do you have another question?
Absolutely. I think part of what you're talking about is also shedding your false identities. And part of the identity that you received was, I'm fat, I'm unworthy, right? So, how did you shed that completely to be able to realize one, it was stress causing all these issues for you, but two, how did you eliminate those negative opinions of what your aunt was really putting on you all those years ago? What does that look like for you?
Well, for me, that was realizing that I am worthy, that my self worth wasn't tied to my weight. And because of the weight and, well, medical issues resulted from the weight, I took a deep dive into studying because I thought, okay, losing 20 pounds didn't make me happy. Maybe getting another degree will make me happy. Well, I got that degree and it was anticlimactic on graduation night. I'm like, okay, I got a degree. I'm still an aircraft electrician. I love being an aircraft electrician. So what's this degree going to do for me? Well, you know what? Let's go get an MBA because I really enjoyed the time in school where I had a goal. I wrote that paper. I achieved that goal. And the overachiever in me had to get an A, got that A. And then I moved on to the next goal. Well, when I finished the program, goal achieved. Now what? Because I was chasing something to boost my opinion of myself rather than trying to get qualified to do something I wanted to do. And I have a friend, if you added up the alphabet soup behind her name, there wouldn't be enough room on a legal sheet of paper for all of her certifications. She's a brilliant woman, and she is still struggling with boom because she uses these degree programs to learn how to like herself, to learn how to help herself, to learn how And you don't have to learn how to love yourself. You just have to do it. And here's the key. I'm telling you a little secret now. Your brain does not know the difference between fact and fiction. If you tell your brain, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I matter, over and over and over, your brain believes it. And then once your brain believes it, you can start to feel it. And that, my friends, that is the key to eliminating boom.
I love that because a lot of people will dismiss affirmations like, oh, you're just saying something. No, what you're doing is you're training your brain to hear truth about you. And that is so important that we're constantly feeding that. And for some of us, when we've had those negative influences in our childhood, even in our adulthood, we have to retrain our brain to create new neural wiring to feed to the positive, to feed to the truth, and release that negativity. And one thing that I learned with EFT tapping, it's emotional freedom technique, we learned that your body will automatically shed the weight automatically if it feels safe. That's pretty huge. So if you're teaching your body what safety is through the affirmations, right? Through realizing you're a masterpiece, that you are chosen, you are royal, you are cherished, you're treasured, you are life-giving, right? When you're feeding that to your body, soul, and spirit, man, so many things can shift and change in that neural network wiring. I love that you share that. That is fantastic. So, what do you think your number one way was to really unlearn that untruth? What do you think that was?
Okay, this is kind of a funny story that is beautiful in a lot of ways because it has put me on a trajectory to eliminate boom in children. I told you that I went on this deep dive in meditation, and this was through the pandemic. So I was home alone, and I wasn't like most people during the pandemic. I wasn't home alone throughout the pandemic. I went to work every day. I worked security for the Navy as a civil servant. And security can't be done from home. You can't do fingerprints at home. You can't make ID cards at home. I had to go to work every day. When I wasn't at work, I didn't want to leave the house. This was my time to stay home and be safe. And that's when I learned about meditation. I listened to books about meditation. I watched YouTube videos about meditation. And then I started meditating. As the pandemic wound up and people started going out again, my friend invited me to a group meditation. Now, I had done that at this point. I had done that through Zoom in my office. I'm like, whoa, this is going to be cool getting in a room with other people. And it was absolutely magical. My friend Charlie put us in that relaxed state of meditation, almost to the point of hypnosis. And he told us to go to another planet and have a journey, have an experience on this other planet. And I was laying there thinking, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And then all of a sudden, poof, I was in a pet adoption agency. I had 3 dogs and we take care of a feral cat colony. So the last thing I needed was another pet. But all of a sudden, this creature walks out. Well, this creature waddles out, Mommy! And he said, I have a mission for you. Your mission is to help children feel good about themselves. And then he started tickling me and we laughed and we played. And I have goosebumps now just thinking about it because that experience changed my life. That was the birth of Sparkle Feathers. And I decided to take the self-help book that I wrote for adults and turn it into a series of children's books. And in book one, Princess Francie felt bad about herself. While I was writing that book, it became less about weight and more about just being comfortable in our own skin. And again, the universe played a little trick on me. During this time, I was bit by a dog. Well, as I'm in the emergency room waiting for the doctor to come sew me up, I'm thinking, I'm a speaker. What am I going to do now? And then all of a sudden, I got this wave of calm. And as the doctor was sewing me up, I was told, put this in your book. I believe I was bit by that dog to get that lesson that it's not what you look like, it's what's inside. So I went home and I changed the very first paragraphs of the book. Princess Francie was sitting there worried about going back to school with this scar on her lip. And that starts the series. The series is about Camp Confidence, where in each book of the series, Sparkle Feathers helps the kids in camp find some new level of self-confidence. So boom doesn't take a hold of their life at that young age.
Oh, how powerful is that? Oh, I love it. And camp is such a great, illustration. I mean, I was raised on camps every summer. I was camp counselor for umpteen years. Like my heart's at camp, and there are so many lessons that you can learn. I just love that concept that you're doing this through camp. That is awesome. And you speak now with such fire and freedom of understanding where you were and where you can get to, right? And there's a hope in there for everyone that's going to be listening to this in the future that they too can have that freedom that you're experiencing. So, do you think that there was ever a time when fear or rejection or another lie came along that made you want to retreat again? Like, how did you fight through that?
That's an interesting question because when I started this journey of becoming a children's book author, I fought it. Sparkle Feathers told me that I needed to speak to kids. My friends told me that my self-help book needed to be written for kids. I don't have children. I had no idea how to talk to kids because when I was going through fertility treatments and failed, I put this wall up. I was protecting my heart. The brain is wired to protect you. I was protecting my heart because I couldn't get something that I spent years and a fortune and a lot of time in hospitals trying to get. But that alone wasn't what really put that wall up in front of me. My first husband, when he started cheating on me, said, "What kind of a woman are you? You can't even give me a baby." That stuck with me. And it wasn't until I learned how to calm the stress and reflect inside and stop self medicating with the wine and the food, when I learned how to really take control of my boom and learn the root cause of it, that's when I was able to heal it. It took me 20 some odd years to realize that the reason I was fighting being a children's book author, the reason I failed when I originally wanted to be a teacher and went into electronic school instead, it was because of that one thing my ex-husband told me. Once I realized that he was wrong, that I don't have to have a baby to be a woman, that's when I started to heal. So that's the next tip I want to give you. If you're self-medicating and, whatever it is, food, too much exercise, too many college degrees, they're all forms of self-medication. If you are self-medicating to try to feel good about yourself, your self-medication modes are just band-aids. And if you're trying to put a band-aid on a gaping, sucking wound, it's not going to work. You have to figure out what caused that wound. And then you could really heal from it.
Wow, you have lived quite a life. And, I think you and I should just have a chat with some tea one day because you and I have very similar stories. And I hear in there as well that false identity that your first husband tried to put upon you, right? And we have to stop taking everything that we're told. And I just shared with my daughter, she was in the middle of an argument with somebody. I said, you do not have to attend every argument you're invited to. And I think that's true about our identities. You do not have to receive your identity except from the one who created you. And that's it, right? It is between you and him, right? And everything else, it's just out there. You don't have to take that in. And so those affirmations, that meditation, I prefer to meditate on the word. And so that's the meditation that I do, and the affirmations come from that. Journaling activates your prefrontal cortex, like everything that you're doing to help yourself understand the trauma you've been through, the lies you believe, and to break agreement with them. Like, I love what you're sharing, because if we can get our kiddos at such an early age to understand those truths, how much stronger of an adult are they going to be in the future? That is just amazing. I just, your story is so inspiring on so many levels. And, teaching not only kids to be who you truly are, but you're really teaching their parents as well. So as much as your book was originally written for the parents, you're probably hitting more parents now because you're going through the kids. That's huge.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. If a parent, first, a parent's going to want to make changes in their life to read one of my self help books. But a parent will read to their kid. A parent will take this funny looking book and read it to their kid. And then I had a parent come up to me, you know what? Now at nap time, my kid and I, we sit on the bed and we meditate. And they're taking better naps. And I get more quiet time. How powerful is that?
As a person who treasures the quiet, I can truly appreciate that statement.
It's funny when I sell my books sometimes. Do you want your kids to take better naps? The Magic Library is not a library. It's your brain before and after meditation.
That is so good. That is so good. So if you really could have our listeners walk away from this chat today with one message from your chapter, from your boom, your experiences, what do you hope that they would carry with them?
The one message I want everyone to walk away with: you are worthy, you do deserve it, whatever it is. You are beautiful just the way you are. And all you have to do is tell yourself that until you believe it.
I want to follow up with one other question that I just thought of. So you and pretty much everybody else on the planet find ways to self-medicate, right? To escape the hard moments. And so now you're using meditation, you're using journaling. Where do you find your journal prompts? Do you feel like that's just a download to just journal your day, or using prompts? What does that look like for you?
I get them all over the place, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post or a class I've been through. There's just a plethora of places I get them. And I actually developed my own journal book with 29 questions to help you unlock your creativity. Because guess what? When you're stuck in survival mode, your creativity shuts off. And that creativity is what helps us redesign our lives and find new ways to eliminate boom.
Okay, so can you treat us to like one or two of those idea of prompts so people could get a jump start on their healing?
One good one is write a letter to that little person you were when you were 6 or 7 years old, and then write a letter back from them. How would they answer you? Ask them a question and then write another letter and answer it.
Such a powerful exercise. There's actually kind of a TikTok trend to that effect. And my daughter was just telling me a similar exercise to do. And I would encourage everybody to look up the song by Mercy Me called Dear Younger You, Dear Younger Me. And it talks that whole concept of what would I say to that younger me? How would I care for that younger me? How would I love that younger me, especially in the hard moments? Because you know what those hard moments are, because you lived them now, right? And then how would you share with your younger you the most amazing things that you did to survive those things? Because I don't think we celebrate ourselves enough. When you've shared your story, my heart goes out to you, and I'm like, wow, she has really lived a life. Even surviving Iraq alone is like, holy moly. And so when you think about all the things that you've experienced, we should be celebrating those. There's something when we get older, we stop really celebrating our birthdays. I think that's the time we should be partying every single year. Look what else I have experienced. Look what else I have survived. Look what else I've accomplished. And not as a success trigger, but as an example of what can be done and what you can live through, because every single one of us is called to a purpose. And I'm so excited that you found your purpose a little different time than a lot of people in college, because you have some life that you lived, and then this purpose came along that you never even saw coming and is now revolutionized your life. So, how would you encourage people that are going to listen to this as we sign off to find their purpose?
No matter how old you are, you come to this earth with a purpose. And sometimes your purpose is to go through all this trauma and turmoil throughout a life so you could have that experience, so you could help the next generation coming up. That's me. Some kids are born prodigies, and their purpose is to make beautiful music or to be this amazing sports figure to entertain and inspire others. Some people's purpose is to teach other people how to use computers because I don't know about you, but I need that. You have a purpose, and your purpose can change through life. So don't stress out about what your true purpose is. Just do what makes you happy. Emotions are an indicator. If it doesn't feel good, try to make it feel good. That's the whole meaning of life, is to feel good. So if it doesn't feel good, figure out why. The true root cause of why it doesn't feel good. Don't be like me. Don't drink a glass of wine to make yourself feel better. Find the true root cause and then go another direction.
You know, here's a little story that totally exemplifies what you're talking about. One of the guys that I went to high school with, his mom was desperate for him to be an engineer. And he went to a prestigious school. I remember visiting him his first semester, and he was miserable. And I just looked at him like, what's going on with you? And he's like, I do not like any of these classes. I don't like the college. I don't like where I'm going. I'm not happy. I'm like, so tell your mom, what do you really want to do? He goes, I really want to be a doctor. I'm like, well, go do it because it's your life and you have to live it. You might have to take a lot of student loans, but go do it because that's where you're going to be happiest. And you know, your purpose is not being an engineer. And he changed his major. And not only did he go on to be a doctor, he also went on to be a lawyer. So he's a double doctorate, which is crazy. And he makes ridiculous amount of money traveling all over the world, testifying in courts. Like he loves his life, you know? And that's the biggest thing, guys. You have to enjoy your life that you are living. You're the only one living it. No one can live it for you. And so thank you so much for bringing all of this out. I think it is going to be so super helpful for everybody. Thank you guys for showing up today. Francine, kudos to you for everything that you have gone through and turned into purpose and accomplishment. That is just, that is amazing. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much for being the bright light you are during this project. And I'm so happy I met you and David and everybody else who contributed to this book. And I just want to tell everybody, if you haven't read Seek the Heart book yet, go to Amazon, get it, read it, because there are some amazing inspirational stories from all the other authors too. And if you like what you hear today, find out how you could be invited in the room for our next book club meeting.